Hello everybody, a quick lesson on how to use the decision matrix. Okay, that's this thing here. I started to fill it in actually. So here we have got the control, no control, certainty and uncertainty, and we start off in this box over here which is called certainty and no control, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to look to see what are the things that we have absolute certainty about and cannot control. Because once you identify what you're sure about and you've got no control over, then you can start to work out what you have got some control over. So what I put in this box is war in Ukraine. Well, we can do certain things. I mean, we can obviously pray for them. We can send them, all sorts of supplies. We can, support the government in helping them. But at the end of the day, we have very limited influence over what happens in Ukraine. We don't have any influence over COVID-19. I guess we can take all the precautions, but at the end of the day, we can't stop it from being here. It's here, it's part of life. Storms, bad weather, I've put down there as well. We can't influence it. We know it's there. We can take precautions, etc. But at the end of the day, we have very little influence over it. So it's pointless worrying about these things. Inflation, interest rates, again, these are part of the new world. So we have to just prepare ourselves. So the next bit of this is to look at the like what I call the scenario planning. This is uncertainty and no control. So we have a best case, a worst case, and most likely. Well, I guess the best case would be end of war, end of COVID, and very soon, and no more storms. But of course, that's not likely. So then we say, what's the worst case? Well, the worst case is war escalates, and knocks onto our things. High inflation, I guess that's another bad thing. Interest rates very high, but then we can start to make decisions now which might influence us there. And the most likely, what's the most likely? Well, somewhere in between, I suppose. I don't know what that is at the moment. Somewhere in between. Okay, so then we look to see what things we can do. So now we look at what's known as control and uncertainty, which is where we look at the options that we have. So what options do we have in this situation? Well, again, we can only focus on the things we can influence rather than the things that we can't influence. So what things do we have that we can influence? So interest rates. Inflation, we can't influence it, but we can change our strategies according to the changes in the economy. So what can we do about high interest rates? Well, maybe revisit our mortgages now and get them fixed ASAP. Maybe that's what we should be doing. Maybe we should focus on fixing interest rates. Fix our interest rates. That sounds like a good idea. Okay. The second thing is inflation. Now, the problem with inflation is that £100 today is only worth £90 in a year's time, £80 in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time it'll only be worth £50. So what can you do to hedge against inflation? And the answer is buy assets. Buy assets. So these are, what assets can you buy? Well, the obvious ones are property. Maybe you should be considering a property. If you haven't bought a property, then consider buying one. If you've already got one, then perhaps buy two, perhaps buy three. Don't worry too much about how much it costs you, because guess what? In a couple of years' time, it's not going to be a problem, because assets are going to go up in value, because that's what always happens in high inflation. Assets go up, your money goes down. So focus on acquiring assets. What other assets could you buy? Well, there's cars. You could buy cars. Vintage cars I'm thinking of, actually, cars beyond 50 years old, or even classic cars, but vintage and classic cars, they go up in value. Watches, you can even buy gold, but maybe jewellery. I'll tell you what is a good one, and that is works of art. And you don't have to spend a lot of money, but you can actually, I have a client who might be able to help you with that. Great thing about some of those assets is they don't even attract capital gains tax. So, decisions, what can we do? So this is the last box now, this one over here. control uncertainty. So what can we do? Control uncertainty. How can we influence the situation we're in? Well, basically, make decisions. Because I reckon an awful lot of people don't make any decisions at all, especially when they're frightened, they're afraid, bomb's going to go off, nuclear war or whatever, Third World War, all that stuff. Make decisions. It's important to make decisions. Have good morning rituals. This is important. I go to the gym most mornings. I have a personal trainer. I go because it's important. I also stop off at Costa's on the way in so that I can talk to people because I've found that having just casual conversations with lots of different people actually keeps me high, keeps me on a bit of a buzz. And I sometimes stop off at the Westrum office on the way back. Often do that as well. Not a bad idea. The Westrum office is also known as the Grasshopper on the Green. And I try to get to see my grandchildren as much as I can. I try to see my kids as much as I can. I try to see friends as much as I can because guess what? We've got a lot of catching up to do. So see friends, family as often as you can. Keep fit. These are things that you can do. Most importantly, stay positive. That's the most important thing. And don't let fear be your God, if you like. Overcome fear. And the best way to do that is keep yourself busy. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.